The following interview, conducted by Brother Locke on behalf of Women of Pure Essence and Men of Divine Excellence, is why we endorse Gene Locke. Okay, Mr. Locke, our first question was in regards to the budget for the fiscal year of 2009. City Councilman Jarvis Johnson asked for more juvenile crime prevention programs and asked that the city do a much better job of providing young children with services. Do you have any plans to assist youth service providers such as outreach programs that target inner city youth?
I think it's imperative in a fight against crime that you have a component that addresses young people, particularly young people who are at risk.
Right.
And so without trying to commit myself to any figures in a budget for 2010, let me say that it's my goal to be able to put targeted programs on the ground that address the issue of at-risk kids, at risk for drugs, at risk for violence and criminal activity, and at risk for dropouts.
Right, right. I understand. Matter of fact, that goes into my next question. Over the last 6 years, Mayor Bill White and other community leaders led a Houston Reach Out to Dropouts walk, which has brought back about 7,400 students over the last 6 years. Yet, according to Children at Risk statistics, Harris County has a 38% high school dropout rate. So with that being said, what do you think needs to be done to restore the effectiveness of the school system, of the educational system?
Well, there are a lot of problems associated with education, and the mayor obviously does not have a direct role in education because in Houston we have independent school districts that are run separate and apart from city government.
Right.
But you can't run a city unless you have a trained, educated workforce.
Right.
And if you are having people drop out of school, you're creating a burden on society that has to be paid in one place or another. Either it's paid in potential criminal activity, or in welfare demands, or in people who are just at risk for all kinds of issues.
Right.
So, for me as mayor, it's important that we work closely with the educational school districts, that we try to provide them with the kind of assistance and support, and we target those kind of things that would be most likely to keep kids in school. After-school programs is the best example of that. After school between 3 and 6, particularly in the junior high school areas, because that's where kids are really vulnerable to going the other way.
Peer pressure, right?
Yeah. If we can do that, we have a good chance of stemming the tide. But it's going to be a difficult fight.
Right.
It's going to be a difficult fight. And I will tell you that my view is that we've got to find a way to provide other educational opportunities beyond what we're doing now.
Right.
We have lost the ability to put vocational training in schools. We've lost the ability to put a lot of physical activity, and physical ed in school. We've lost the arts in schools, music in schools.
Wow.
And as a consequence of that, the kinds of things that would keep some kids interested and motivated because they have a talent and a skill set is lost.
Right.
So we've got to work on all of that.
Right.
And I'm prepared as mayor to actually do that.
Good, good. One of the things I came across that statistics-wise, it was saying that 26% of the Houston population is under the age of 18. And then also, I think it was like 27 or 26, around the same number of them are under the poverty line, are also under the age of 18.
Right.
And so I was thinking that maybe if the school system incorporated some type of life skills program to where it at least taught money management, budgeting, how to pay credit card bills, that it could positively impact the, the after school experience, or even if they did drop out. Right. Some type of way of having some types of skills just to be able to survive,
I absolutely agree with you. I think it's essential that we provide that. And I don't know if the public schools are going to provide this part of the core curriculum. The schools now are so concerned about passage of a test as a precondition to moving on. There seems to be little time left to enjoy and explore these other educational options.
Right.
So maybe these are the kinds of things that get taught in after-school programs by private sector, by volunteers as a way to provide the opportunities.
Right. Yeah, that's a good suggestion, because that's one of the things that we're trying to incorporate too in our organization, and one of our agendas was to have after-school programs and stuff like that. My third question is about the debate I saw on Channel 13. I think that you had one of the best responses concerning transportation, regarding the need for leadership and all the departments working together. My concern right now is the metro system, personally. Right now, for example, in Houston, my children, they just reached teenage, so they're legally able to work, but they live on 529 and Highway 6. And so for them to work, to get a job, they would have to walk all the way down 529 just to get a job, because there's no bus system. And since their mom is disabled, if I'm not around, they're stranded. So I was going to ask you, when you become mayor, would you consider expanding the metro system to run down 529 and say Highway 6 and more extensively on the north side?
I want to expand metro service generally, but we have an immediate problem in that when metro was created, every area in the county and in the region did not opt into the metro system. So the metro is funded by a 1-cent sales tax, a penny tax, and people in Houston pay that, but people in Bel Air don't pay it. People in Houston pay it, but people in Humboldt don't pay it. People in Houston pay it, but people in Pearland don't pay it. And so metro doesn't have the capacity financially to expand the service into those areas without working out an arrangement with those people to pay some share of the new services come down. Ideally, you've got to have a regional program that solves all of that. Because for the region to grow, you can't have some in and some out. You've got to expand the whole area. And that will be the call that I will give to Metro and to the region. Find a way to work with our regional partners to find more transportation opportunities.
Right. That's a good point. I saw on your website, Young Leaders for Locke. And we really like that concept, because one of our main concerns is bridging the generation gap in the community, because one of the things we've noticed is alienation between the hip-hop generation and the civil rights generation. And so right now, Houston has one of the youngest populations in the United States, with over 25% of the population being young people. And so right now, one of the things that we was going to ask you, do you think that you have a strategy to inspire the hip-hop generation by including them in plans to make Houston a better city?
I do. And the plan is to do exactly what you said, to include younger people in the planning and the implementation of programs that impact the city. Whether that will inspire them to bridge the gap, I don't know. But it's something we have to do. You can't have one sector of your community completely isolated to everybody else. You can't have one sector of your society not being trained and given the opportunity to politically participate. Because if you don't train and skill them now, it becomes more difficult for them to become active and aggressive political participants in the years to come.
That's right.
And so, just as you want seniors to vote, you also want young people to vote. Just as you want seniors to have aspirations of home ownership and stability, you want young people to have the same aspirations of home ownership and stability.
Right. I believe that also, in a total agreement with what you just said, that you have to educate them also as to how important they are to the future, by including them in the processes like you said, but also by approaching them with initiatives that accommodate their interests, such as events that educate and incorporate culture and hip-hop culture.
You got to always find people where they are. You can't assume that as a precondition for somebody to support you, they have to turn themselves from what they are into something that you want them to do just to support them. So you don't have a rap concert to attract 55 years and older. It doesn't work. Conversely, you don't have, an R&B concert with a lot of old school to attract young people. You've got to be able to meet them at their point of interest.
That's right.
Wherever it is.
Right.
And you build from that point of interest.
Mm.